Hi, y'all. Welcome back to Black Vision Network. We're your host, Janae.
And I'm Theo.
And on today's episode, we're giving y'all all the tea on what it's like to enter into the corporate world.
Yes. So not only the tea on the corporate world, but how to set boundaries and find work-life balance. Because we were thinking the other day is like we were very fortunate and blessed to have exposure, internships to the corporate world, and it's not very common in our community. So we want to talk about how in this generation you can find success.
Yes. So we're gonna start off with what was our introduction to the corporate world? Like most people, your introduction to anything in the world is through your parents. Mm-hmm. And so my mom, she worked at a big Fortune 500 company, since I was born. We moved to the state when she was pregnant with me so she can go to that job. Mm-hmm. And then my dad was unemployed. So, I got a balance of both, So she had a really nice job. She made 6 figures by the end of it. But, it was one of those things where if you die, they don't give a dang about you. They will replace you real quick. And that's I saw that. It was crazy. And
How did you see that?
Well, my mom passed away in 2017, and we knew her coworkers a little bit. But it's they were everybody else were after it happened, they were oh, we're so sorry. And then ghost. They were never on the planet whatsoever. So, I think they worked her. Well, she worked a lot. I don't know how she did it. Me working the way I work now, I'm just I could never. She went to church. She was on leadership. She had 5 kids. She tried to go to our games. Superhero. She had she didn't. I cooked. Once we got old enough, we started cooking. But I was just wow. I could never. So that was my introduction to the corporate world.
So what were your expectations for a job? Because maybe I can kind of talk about mine to start, but where was a job placed for you in terms of in your life, importance in your life?
So a job, I think I was a little spoiled because I only had one job before college, and it was at Five Guys, and it lasted 2 weeks because I got paid minimum wage. I was harassed. My boss was sleeping with one of the coworkers. It was just a lot of drama.
You always got some mess.
It was. There's always messy stuff going at work, whether it's corporate or not. I don't care. And then people always feel really comfortable talking to me, which is okay. It's funny because I think they share a lot more with me than I share with them.
Yes.
But it's okay. Tell me all you want, because I know a lot. I know a lot. 'Cause people tell me stuff. People at work now, if I give them the chance, they will tell me their whole entire life story. And I got to cut them off because I ain't got 45 minutes. You supposed to be working. But sometimes people really just need to vent. And I'm willing to be their vent session because a lot of people don't have anybody else to vent to. So I'll let them get their mental air out. So, yeah. What about you?
Yeah, so I guess mine was kind of different. Both my parents, they got divorced when I was 4, but both of them worked in corporate America. I would say relatively high-paying jobs. So school was paramount in my household. If you don't bring back good grades, you're getting a whooping. I mean, that was for everybody, but it was that was most important. It was I had a passion for basketball growing up. I couldn't play basketball if I didn't bring home pretty much straight A's. And so it was instilled to me that the path that was important was to do well in school all the way up through college and get a good, secure, high-paying job. That was what was instilled to me. That was what was drilled into me every day by my parents. And then, I kind of got out on my own. Well, while I was in their house, I kind of abided by that. I've pretty much held a job since I was 14. So every summer while I was in high school, I worked. And I pretty much have been working since that time. But when I got out and had internships experience, I started to see that, I had different expectations. And I was like, well, if this is what the end all be all is, it should be great. I'll be fulfilled at my job, and I don't really need to look out for anything else in my life because, my parents said this is the end all be all. Everything that I need in life will be outside of any relationships will be here at work for me. And in my first experience, I knew that was not the case at all. Basically, they talk about how it's a privilege to work at certain companies, but I really felt that, companies wanted more from you, not based on my experience, because at the internship, I wasn't paid substantially, but companies in general wanted more from me, their employees than they were paying them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. If this is the end all be all, shouldn't I get paid for what I'm bringing to the table? And so I remember my second internship experience in college. I basically did not do a single thing. It was basically a summer wasted. Like, I was supposed to have a mentor throughout the summer, and my mentor wasn't really involved, wasn't really giving me things to do. So I was pretty much twiddling my thumbs till I was like, nah, I don't want the summer to go this way. Like, this is an important step. I need something on my resume to show. Like, I can't spend the whole summer doing nothing. And so I went to other people in the company. Was like, hey, do you have anything I can work on? Anything that I should be doing to be at a certain knowledge level so that I can help you? Like, just tell me, give me some type of guidance. And it was a struggle the entire summer. And so basically, I stepped away from my internship experiences thinking there's so much more to life outside of work. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of want to talk about, well, we can either go into some more stories about our work experiences or talk about kind of the transition that we've been seeing with this generation, and a transition we're going to push here on this network is to transition from living to work to working to live.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to share a little bit of my internship experience.
Sure.
Because it was like slightly different. I will say the college that we went to really set us up well for internships and jobs. Like, I knew it was pretty much guaranteed I would get a job. And like Theo, I knew, like, I grew up, I was like, oh, I'm going to grow up, get a job, it's going to pay for stuff, blah, blah, blah. Nobody really taught entrepreneurship or owning your own business and financial freedom and time freedom. But, we're going to get into that later. And I went to my first internship in San Francisco because I was like, I want to try something. And that was literally the only offer I had anyway. But it came through networking, which there's so much power in networking.
Yes.
And there was one of the few people I networked with because I was very, like, socially, like, anxiety. It was like one of those big old career fairs with thousands of people. So I was like, oh, I know they already had 500,000 people apply for this position, so why do I even talk to them? But, something good came out of it, and I had a summer abroad. And I will say the net amount I made on that was probably like 16 cents. Like, because living in San Francisco is not cheap.
Outside the other general
it was crazy
for living in San Francisco.
It was weird, but like it was a lot. But I will say it was a good experience. I really did like my boss, my direct boss, and I really liked what I got to do in that job. It was a civil engineering job, and it was civil engineering and engineering management kind of mixed together. But I'm mechanical engineering. Mm-hmm. But that's why I did mechanical, because you can pretty much do anything with it. And I really liked that job. I did not like the location, so I was like, no. And then the next summer, I went to a place in my hometown, Indianapolis, and that one was interesting. It was like my first time being assigned to like a night shift, and that was like the very stereotypical woman in engineering job. It was a manufacturing facility, 24 hours a day, 365. And I was the only female that they had in like the last 5 years. I was the only one there at the time. And my first summer, I was the only black person. The second summer, there was like 2 or 3 other black people. But that was a very interesting. The first summer, I was trying hard, doing my best, trying to look good. But then, like, I realized what was going on, and the company was going through a lot of stuff. And by the next summer, so much stuff had changed around. And I kind of finessed the system. I'm not going to say the company because they might be listening in on this. I hope not. But, like, I did not go to work. And nobody noticed. That's the crazy thing. They didn't tell me. I didn't see, like, I used to come back because I was on night shift and my boss wasn't there on night. So, like, and I didn't have anything to do like him. Like, they didn't give me anything to do. They didn't give me anything that would take the 12 hours that I was there. It would take me like 2 hours max if I was stretching it. So I would just like walk around on the roof, you know, go look outside. But it was boring. It was a freaking factory. I'm not accepting. But it was a freaking factory where there's nothing to do. There's a whole bunch of like old men just walking around, and like it just wasn't a fun job. And so yeah, they changed all the leadership in there anyway, because it turns out the plant manager was sleeping with the HR head.
Always got some mess.
Yeah. Let me tell you about the mess of my first internship in San Francisco. And that was another case of the boss sleeping with the other intern. And they're like, it was crazy, but my boss's boss slept with one of the interns. And he was like, you could tell, he was like an alcoholic, and he was a little too much. And she, like, I was telling her about that. I was like, the intern was like actually right next to me when he started doing weird stuff. And then she was like, ooh, let me sit there. Boom, that's the story. It's history from there. And it was just, there's always some mess in my jobs.
Yeah, I can't say I've experienced anything like that.
Maybe they just don't tell you about it. It's happening.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens.
It's happening.
Yeah, but all right. Well, I guess I'll share some of my work experience, because I mean, we're the sum of our experiences. So kind of the transition in that mindset that I'm talking about came because of not only that internship, but my last work experience as well, where basically I was like, I need to find my purpose, cultivate my purpose outside of work. You know, there's so much more value that I have to add. There's so much more that I want to do outside of my job. And so I'll tell you a little story about my experience. I don't want to say my last, but yeah, my experience. So coming around COVID, you know, that was already a tumultuous time for work, for work in general. But on top of that, I had a seizure in February of last year. And so this was around the time that everybody was, you know, sending their workers home, trying to figure out everything that was going on with the pandemic. And so on top of that, I had a seizure. And so I didn't really have a neurologist, though I've had migraines pretty much since I was a teenager. I didn't have a neurologist, so I had to get to a neurologist when I got back home as soon as possible, figure out why this happened, what to do next, and things like that. And so basically, when I finally got to the neurologist, they were basically like, okay, we're going to have to do all these tests. But in the meantime, because you've had a seizure and with everything going on with COVID, we would like you to work from home. So I'm like, boom, that should be easy. You know, this company was already sending a portion of the workforce home already. And, you know, I was basically dang near in a panic because I'm like, my grandma had an aneurysm. And so there's kind of been a history of head stuff already in my family. So I was nervous. And so I took this information to my boss and stuff like that. And, you know, the first thing that he's talking about as I'm talking about this need to take time off to see what's going on and get things situated is, oh, yeah, you know, we'll figure out your PTO time and all your hours that'll need to be deducted later. So no mention of, you know, hey, concerned about how you're doing, checking up on your well-being, things like that. Literal first conversation I had was, hey, we're going to get the book straight on your hours and how much PTO you have. Mm-hmm. So out of the gate, I was rubbed the wrong way. And so then I had to literally fight with them to be able to work from home. So the portion of the company that I worked for, they were saying that we were necessary to be in person, present in the office. And, you know, that wasn't the case. I mean, there were some positions in the portion of the company that I worked, some positions that needed to be there, but mine wasn't one of them. And so basically it got to the point where literally I was going back and forth with them and my doctor, where I was like, okay, my doctor is asking you for the literal steps of why I need to be in the office. They refused to give me that. And so basically it was a fight back and forth for, I would say, I don't know how long, maybe 2 months or a couple weeks, until finally they gave in and allowed me to work from home for like a couple months until my next checkup, when I would get more information on if I could come back into the office and what caused the seizures. So basically those 2 months are up. Much to my concern, the doctors, neurologists are not able to tell me any cause of why what happened. And so without that information, basically I have to start to transition into going into the office. And at this point, funny enough, they had transitioned us into some days we would come into the office and some days we work from home. So on a given week, I probably only came into the office 2 days. And so from that point, coming back into the office, things were weird. It was constantly like, when I started working from home, they started basically threatening my job. I was working more from home than I had been while I was in the office previous to when I got the seizure. And, basically they're putting stuff on my plate and bringing up concerns about my work performance. And so me, fearful that I'm losing my job, even though I'm supposed to have certain restrictions in place, I'm ignoring all of those restrictions and my health in order to perform at a level where you can't say anything about my performance, because I don't want to lose my job. And so coming off the heels of that, going back into the office, it's just tension. You can feel the tension. And basically, they had to bring in a third party to mitigate how we would move going forward and kind of reflect on what went wrong beforehand. And I'll never forget that, basically they denied my claim of why I needed to be in the office or why I need to work from home. And so we're going through this third party mitigation. And basically I've already thrown the idea around to friends and family that I need to get out of here. This is not a good environment for me to be in. And yeah, so we get to that third party mitigation, and one of the people they worked for HR basically was like, oh yeah, we felt that, it wasn't medically necessary for you to have that work from home time.
Who are they?
And I was like, well, it's a good thing that you're not a doctor then. And so basically they just spent that whole third party mitigation doubling down on all of the backward stuff that they did. And that was just, too much for me. And I kind of wanted to do this video because in our community, we're taught to basically put up with a lot. So basically, because of my upbringing, I went through a lot more than I felt I should have in fighting to keep my job, literally ignoring my health and the restrictions that the doctor had placed on me to make sure that I keep this job. And that's not good. We as a people, you as a person need to have more purpose outside of a job. And I know some people are going to try to kill me and say, well, how you expect to live, whatever. But literally, people will kill themselves. I could have driven myself in a grave over a job, and what would be left of me, what would be known of me? That I had this position, and then they would go hire somebody else. So yeah, kind of want to talk about. So let's kind of go on a lighter note and talk about how you can transition and why you should transition from a living to work mentality to a work to live mentality.
Yeah, so I will say that my job right now, the sole purpose of that job is to fuel my other side hustle. Mm-hmm. Like, this is income so I can sustain my life as well as put more money, more assets into my other side hustles.
Yes.
That is the sole purpose. And once my other side hustles are big enough to replace that income, I'm out of there. I'm also using this position as a chance to get some,
skills,
management skills. Yeah, mm-hmm. People skills, because people is what, the world runs on. Like, any business needs people. And for my business, I want to be able to manage people to run my business for me so I don't have to be there. and they just make the money for me. So that's my version of working to live rather than living to work. And yeah, they be testing it. And one of the boundaries I set is if I don't want to answer you on my off days, I'm not answering you on my off days.
Yes.
Like, I don't care. Like, at work, they will make something seem so urgent.
Everything
is so urgent. But no, I will get back to you. I got other stuff to do. Like, that's nothing to me. Like, and I think having other things going for your life, other things going in your life, will help you to not be stuck. Like, never put all your eggs in one basket.
Yes.
Always have a backup plan. Always have something going for you.
In every other facet of life, preach diversification, except for when it comes to work.
Yes.
And you touched on two great points is you have to find meaning outside of your job. Who are you? Like, literally, when we introduce ourselves, we literally say what our name is, how old we are, and then what we do. I challenge you to really, if you're watching this video right now, take the time to think about who you are. What are you? What would you tell somebody if you were introducing yourself and you could not mention your job title? Just think about that. You have to find meaning. What is your passion? You have God-given gifts that the world needs from you that is outside of a job, or maybe you can cultivate it within the job so you can do it outside of the job as well. But you have to know what your purpose and what your meaning is. And then
wait, I want to say the people who have nothing else that they're passionate outside of their job be the worst people at the job. They be the worst ones. They're so terrible at their job because, like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And, like,
they're living to work.
I'll be like I literally have to, like, manage people's success on the job, and like I'll be like, so I'm trying to figure out more about them and, like, see what motivates them. I'll be like, so what do you do? They'll be like, I just talk to my cats and watch TV.
Red flag.
I'm like, but what do you do for fun? I like to sleep and play video games. I'm like, it's a lost cause.
I mean, like, even in those things, though, there are things you can cultivate, do. Like, gaming has become such a big part of our society. Like,
yeah.
There's so many things you can do,
but do you find meaning in it? Like, if you find meaning
creativity,
in it,
I mean, it's creativity. Like, there's people, I have family members who I know want to, design games, and I mean, like, doing the YouTube videos where you do the gameplay is such a big thing. Like, people create personalities off of that. Like, it's so much you can do, and the key is really to have an end goal. So, like you talked about, you're using your job in order to cultivate certain skills that you want in other aspects of your life. That is huge. You have an end goal in mind for what you want out of that position. And that helps you to know what type of position you're looking for. So, like, for me right now, I'm an account manager, basically a glorified title for a salesperson. And basically what I wanted out of my next position was to be able to cultivate the better skills I needed to run a business, to do marketing, to do sales, to find out how to push on people's needs in order to convince them to purchase from me. And so that's why I'm here. I'm learning management skills. I'm learning how to interact with people. I'm learning how to find out what drives people and what their needs are and figure it out quickly. That's something I like to do at my last position, and I'm really wanting and putting an emphasis on growing those skills now. Not for the betterment of their bottom line, but for my bottom line.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess we can talk about setting boundaries, because, like I talked about in my work experiences, so often positions will have you crossing boundaries that you need to set for your physical and mental health. Like Janae mentioned, you are not required to speak to your employer outside of your contracted time that you're supposed to be there. Anything else that you give is free of your giving, that you're giving extra. Don't let people harass you into going and doing overtime, especially when it's not paid, or doing things and following up on things that aren't necessary. You have to set a boundary for your mental health. If you need a mental health day, take it within reason, of course. But you have to protect your mental health because it's bigger than the job. There are things, believe me or not, that are bigger than a career, than a job.
So yeah, definitely setting boundaries is important in the workplace as well as outside the workplace. Because as Black people, especially as a black woman, people think they can talk to you any type of way. And to be honest, in my experience, if you check them one good time, I bet they won't step to you again.
Yep.
And you have to have the courage to do it, because like at the end of the day, you're still a whole person who needs respect. I mean, I believe in giving respect as well as you receiving respect, but like you have to know how to stick up for yourself. You cannot let people walk all over you, like,
or they will continue to do it.
Yeah, I heard somebody say, like, one of the black people at my job, they were like, "Oh, I expect to work 10 times as harder for the same thing." I'm like, "No, I don't." No, I don't. No, I don't. But like, that's why I always have to have other things going for me, because if like I will never let anybody get like the satisfaction of like ruining a certain chance for me. Like, because like at the end of the day, I will always like, you will need me more than I need you, especially in the corporate world, because they will take full advantage of you. They will work you until you die. Like, they want you to do more stuff for less money, and those are the perfect, like you told me that, like those are the perfect employees. The ones that are willing to do more for less.
Yes, that's what the company wants.
Yes.
And that's what deteriorates you as a person.
Yes.
But setting those professional boundaries are so important, because I've seen it too many times where people mistakenly think that, oh, this person is my friend, you know, you can do. But as soon as you cross their boundary, it's over for you. So I'll see, like, even outside corporate world, like, you obviously are going to foster relationships with these people. You know, you're there for a good majority of your time for a week. And so it's okay to engage with them, but know where you stand with people and understand the professional boundaries. Like, these people are not on your friend. If they see you wilding out on Instagram or Snapchat and doing something, then there is literally that nothing will stop them from showing your boss, getting you fired, or using it as leverage to get a promotion, or the company seeing it and using it as a reason to let you go because you've been pushing for a certain change or initiative. Like, these people are not your friends. You don't owe them an explanation into your personal life, why you're taking PTO. You are paid. It is in your contract that
paid time off.
Yes, that you get that. You don't have to give an explanation for why you're doing it. You don't need to tell them, no matter how much they pressure you, what you did on the weekend or what your plans are. If you don't feel comfortable telling them the details, omit them.
Yes. And I don't know if anybody told you this, but stop talking. Stop telling everybody everything.
Observe.
Yes, observe. Stop talking. Nobody needs to know that.
Yep.
You're probably sabotaging yourself. They don't need to know everything.
Yep.
They really don't. You can use the information. You can give it when you feel it's necessary. Fill out the situation before you let people in, because people will exploit you, and especially when it comes to like money and getting a raise over the other, people are haters. Haters.
You see it a lot in kind of my field where, you know, there's a lot of drinking. And so I'm reading a book now by 50 Cent, Hustle Smarter, Hustle Harder. And he talks about how, you know, execs, salespeople, they will use this time to, you know, pump certain people full of alcohol, get them rambling about everything, about the thing that they were planning for. And basically, you know, alcohol makes people do whatever. But when you go out with your coworkers, or you go out with your boss and they offer you shots on shots on shots, you don't have to do them all. You don't have to take them all. You can say, oh, I'm drinking this instead. Stand firm on that. It will do you that much better to be the person that shows up the next day for the presentation at 8 a.m. alert than the person who came there wasted, because it's all a test. It's all a test.
Yeah. Also, like, I do believe in being good at everything you do. Like, don't use any of this as an excuse to just be a bad person. Like,
no.
I think you should still be excellent in everything you do, just to reflect on your own character, rather than just like stereotypes that people hold. Like, you don't want to, you know, fit into the statistics or the mold. Like, really try to execute things excellently, because I do believe, like, what you put out into the world, you get back.
Absolutely.
And so, like, at the end of the day, you can tell everybody everything you, like, just, you can tell anybody anything, but, like, when you already have your stuff together, like, it can't really hurt you. But, like, if you're out there being a sleazeball or something, and you still tell people that, like, it's going to come back to you, like, just do the right thing.
The purpose of this video is not to convince you to not do well at your job. That is not what this is about. In fact, when you do these things, when you set professional boundaries, set mental health boundaries, and find purpose outside of your job, you will find that it is a lot easier to do well at your job. At least that's what I found. And it's because, like, even this weekend, this Memorial Day weekend, so we just had Monday off, and now it's going to be a shortened work week. I find myself so much more productive today when I went into the office than I usually would be on a typical Monday. And, you know, it just shows me how important it is to prioritize yourself and take care of yourself so that you can show up as your best self, because that's what it's all about. Like, once you find meaning, like I find meaning in Black Vision Network, so that motivates me to go out and be good at my job so that I can give the time and resources from my job to this. Like, once you have purpose, you'll operate in purpose in everything that you do. That's all I want to say.
And this is the last note. Even if you hate your job, try to network.
Yes.
Try to network, because maybe, like, the actual duties you have as a job suck, but the people make it worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, you're always going to have to sift through and find your people. But, like, they kind of make it worthwhile. Like, you know, people who are going through the same thing as you. And in the corporate world, it is hard to find similar people. But when you do find the good ones, and hold on to them, because they will get you through. And having that pool of knowledge to pull from, and whether it be work related or your own entrepreneurship related, like, it will really help you just have those connections. And if you do decide you like your job and you want to continue and get promotions, those networking skills will really help you. And I find, like, the people that, you know, excel quickly in jobs, they're the people that know how to talk. They're the people that know how to relate to other people. They're the people that can hold a conversation, a meaningful conversation, and everybody walks away from that conversation feeling like, you know, they gained something. They don't feel diminished. They feel replenished. And that's an important, just as a human being, to have.
Absolutely. So thank you for tuning in. I hope this video was able to provide you some value, whether you've never had a corporate experience and wondering what's it like, or if you're trying to find your way, you know, outside of your work, who you are. I hope either way that this has done something for you. And please tune in to our channel. Come back. We provide content like this and even some not like this, hopefully on a weekly basis. So, yes, tune in to the journey, subscribe, like, and comment. And until next time, peace.